Hello, Texas FFA. We are back with our webinar series, Growing the Future. And if anybody's ever spent any time around agriculture, you know that in the world of agriculture, it's not always good times. Every now in the world of agriculture, we get thrown curves like COVID-19 and no stock shows. We get thrown curves like no high school graduations. We might get a famine in the land. We might get a drought. We might get bad weather, hail, a tornado, a hurricane, a flood. We could get disease in our livestock. At the end of the day, we fight some battles that some of the other folks in the world don't have to fight. And as a result, we have to know something about resiliency. That ability to get up when you've been knocked down. And I would also say that resiliency also applies to life. Every one of us, if this panel and we could all get together with every Texas FFA member, every Texas FFA member has a story to share. Everybody has a story to share. We're very fortunate today to have some people join us who have some extraordinary stories, incredible stories. And they are beautiful stories. While sometimes tragic, they're beautiful because they represent the best in resiliency. So with that, we're going to start and we're going to go around and I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. If y'all don't mind, I'm going to start with John and Heather. If you will, start and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll move to the next presenter. So John and Heather.
Howdy, y'all. We are glad to be with y'all today. My name's John Paul Dineen. This is my wife, Heather. We've been married about 20 years. We are full-time farmers in Ellis County and have been for 25 plus years.
We have 4 kiddos, and 2 of them are, one is a current FFA member and one's a past FFA member. I didn't get the opportunity to do FFA or be a member. John Paul did when he was in school, but it's a wonderful organization, and we're very thankful for the things that it has taught our daughters and the life lessons that they have learned. And I wish I had had some FFA when I was in school because it might have made things easier as I've grown up. So.
Now, Heather, real quick before I let you go, didn't you win some big award in agriculture?
I was the 2014 National Farm Mom, and I was the first Texas mom to ever win, and even make the finals. And I'm pretty sure I'm the only Texas mom that's won the national award. There was a lady right after me that won her district as well. So,
congratulations. And we're going to come back to John and Heather's story here in a second. We're going to learn more about the Texas Ag Memorial Day. Christy, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, thank you for asking me to be here today. I'm Kristie Crockett, and I live outside of McLean, Texas. My husband and I have been married nearly 30 years, and he has ranch and farmland in Donley, Wheeler, and Gray County. And we raised 4 kids together, and 3 of them were in FFA. And my husband was, and I wasn't. I lived on a ranch growing up, and my agriculture background stems from being around my dad and, of course, my husband.
But Christy, you did hang out with some FFA kids back in high school, I think, didn't you?
I did, and it was really funny because Aaron has a short memory, but I actually met Aaron in high school. I was hanging out with some of my buddies at the mall, and he had been recently elected the president of FFA in Texas. And so I ran into him 3 years ago in Austin, and I said, I reminded him that we had met before in 1985 in 84, 85 in Amarillo. So we kind of reconnected a friendship there.
We're going to come back to Christy too, and she's got another incredible story we're going to share. Kerri LeDoux is with us. Kerri, thanks so much for joining us. We're so glad you're here. Kerri, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I'm happy to be here. I am Kerri LeDoux, and I'm the mother of 3. I have been married to Gus LeDoux for going on 10 years. I'm in business development in the oil and gas industry, as well as the executive director of the Live Like Johnny organization. Living here in Jacksboro, I grew up on a ranch. My dad has land and a lot of cattle. So, and my oldest son, John, was very involved in the FFA. I was not involved other than knowing a few pigs and sheep, but he was very involved in the FFA.
We're going to learn a little bit more about Johnny here in just a second. Thank you, Kerri. Lastly, Wade Pierce. And this guy's just got such an awesome attitude, and I'm excited for y'all to get to know Wade just a little bit better. Also, Wade, we want to say thank you. Pierce is a proud corporate sponsor of the Texas FFA. We always enjoy seeing y'all at Convention Teachers Conference. We're going to be doing it virtually this year, Wade, but we're still glad that you're here with us for this event. So, Wade, tell us a little bit about you.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm honored to be here. My name is Wade Pierce. Work for my family's company, Pierce, and then I'm father of two beautiful kids, a son, George Ray, who's 4, and a daughter, Aubrey, who's 8. And unexpectedly, my wife and I have another on the way. So they're about to outnumber us. And my wonderful wife, Tabby, and we've been married for 12 years. And I was in the FFA. I wasn't the star student. I did a lot with ag mechanics and on that side of it. But I was terrible, if I'm honest, everything from welding to mechanics. But I worked for our company, and we build a lot of that stuff. So thankfully, I don't get to design it. I just work on the business side now. But I have a great fondness of the FFA. All my friends are in it, and I see just how great the organization is, and I'm just thankful. We're all thankful to be a part of it.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much for sharing and being with us today. So now we're going to circle back. We'll stay in that same order. We're going to circle back. John and Heather, y'all started the Texas Ag Memorial Day. And obviously, I'm going to tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you've recognized and you're honoring some of the folks that we've lost in the world of agriculture here in Texas. But would you mind sharing with us why you started the Texas Ag Memorial Day and how maybe that was a reflection of the resiliency in the circumstances in your life?
So we founded the Texas Agriculture Memorial Day 5 years ago. It was one of those kind of things that sometimes God just lays things on you that you don't really know where they're going or where they're coming from, but you just kind of have this impression or this yearning for it. That's kind of where that started. I had this impression, this desire for this idea, and started looking kind of into it, and found that there was no such thing in Texas. There was where that we were thanking and honoring the families of folks that had dedicated their life to agriculture and had lost their life in an accident or been severely injured in that. I shared this with Heather and what was going on kind of in my mind and stuff, and we felt it was an important thing to do because these folks, as a lot of y'all know, agriculture doesn't turn on and off like a switch. It doesn't start at 8 or end at 5. It kind of just blends into your life because, like I'm sure y'all are going to talk about it in a bit, the unexpected happens and you have to kind of adapt. So you may be up late at night or starting early in the morning, and it just kind of just blends together. And that's what folks in agriculture do. Is it is their life, it is their passion, and it is their passion to feed and clothe the people of the world, not just themselves. And so we just felt it was important to try and give back, and in some cases of those that have lost their lives in accidents, to show appreciation to those families for their loved ones.
I think Well, we all know that the general consumer today is very out of touch with agriculture and where their food comes from. And one of the biggest things that has always kind of been loud in my head was that there is a great cost to agriculture, and it doesn't have one thing to do with money. And these families that provide our food and our fiber, if they've done it for any amount of time, they have probably experienced some sort of loss, some sort of accident, because it's a dangerous business, and they just need to be thanked, and they need to be shown appreciation, because it is not easy to, when you've suffered a loss or suffered an accident, it's not easy to pick up the next day or the next month and go right back to doing the very thing that cost you your loved one, or continue doing what cost you your loved one, or maybe harmed you if you had an accident. And we're pretty passionate about that, and that comes from we lost our son in an ag accident while he was working with John Paul, and he was only 5, but it was a huge cost to our family, and it was very difficult to continue trying to be a farmer. And we don't have generations behind us. We're first generation. And that was tough. But I believe very firmly that God calls his farmers. And when he calls you to something, he will carry you through it. And so far, God hasn't said, okay, it's time to go do something else. And along the way, even though it was very difficult, God provided neighbors and a community and church folks, strangers, people that we met through Texas Farm Bureau. We served on a committee there as young farmers and ranchers, and just people across the state and just everywhere that have carried us and picked us up, and sometimes just their kindness has been what dragged us along to get us to the next point. And experiencing that, it makes it all the more important to say thank you to other families that have experienced those losses and that are continuing on.
Wow. Thank you. I mean, y'all have blessed me by allowing us to be a part of y'all's program down there every November. I did get that right. It's November at the state capitol. And what a better place to make sure that agriculture and those families are remembered than in the heart of the state of Texas. So John, Paul, Heather, thank you for turning a challenging moment in your lives into an incredible blessing for others. And that's a wonderful legacy. And you touched on all the things about resiliency in there. You talked about friends and family and associates and faith, all the things that we got to have to get and to be resilient. Next, Kristie Crockett. Kristie alluded to earlier that we got to meet down at the Capitol the day that we were there to honor her son. And the reason that moment almost knocked me to my knees, and I've shared this, I think, with Kristie before, is because when Kristie said, "Don't you remember me?" and we started talking, as soon as she said her name, I knew exactly who she was, because I have shared the Cody Crockett and Sydney Wallace story to as many people as I can. I tell people, I said, if you want to read one of the best pieces that has ever been published in Texas Monthly, read The Day the Fires Came. It's Heather and John, it's everything y'all just said about how agriculture doesn't stop working. It's the passion that we have for the livestock and the land. But Christy, share with us a little bit from your perspective, your story, and about resiliency and getting through all this. And you actually had some things that happened to you and Brock before the tragedy of The Day the Fires Came. Would you mind sharing some of that with us real quick?
I will. Yes, Aaron, Brock and I had been married for 5 years when in June of 1995, a tornado came through and destroyed our home, as well as our father-in-law's and our sister-in-law's home. And we lost all the horses that Brock had bred and raised as colts. We lost 8 horses and over 80 head of cattle. And at that point in our new marriage, that we did not have insurance. But, the next day, you're humbled by the amount of people, even that evening, that came and helped clean up and dig through debris, looking for things. And it's like Heather and John mentioned, it's not something that you can just stop and say, well, I'll go back to work on Monday. This is something, you still had to get up the next morning, and you had windmills to check, and you had things to look after. And when you talk about resiliency, I don't think there's anyone in the ag industry that has not had to develop that at some point or the other. We've all experienced droughts. We've experienced, there's been floods. They're not in our area, but in other areas, there's always something that comes up. And without God, I would have no resiliency. He is with me. He is with my family. He has sent us friends and family. And we knew at that point, after the tornado, that we were going to be okay because we had not suffered a loss of life. Well, we go into the future, 26 years, and Brock and I, like I mentioned earlier, had 4 children. And our second son, Cody, died from his injuries in a fire that started on a Panhandle ranch on March 6th of 2017, along with his beautiful and lovely girlfriend. And we were okay after the tornado. Like I said, there was no loss of life. And little did we know that we would make it through the devastating loss of our son. The next morning after Cody died at 6:30, Brock was out. He was gone from the house, going over to fix the fence. And it is a devastating loss. And there is no way, without the grace of God and the people that he sent and the friends and family and the support, that we would be able to go on. It's a loss that we will always feel. It is a sadness that as a parent that you don't get over, but you get through it. You just have to keep going for the sake of your other children. But it's not because, we're tough and we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. It's not an independent thing, and it's not something to take pride in. It is a gift from God, that if you ask him, that God is with you. And resiliency is, facing the adversity, not alone, but without God, we would not be resilient. And it boils down to having that relationship and the people that he provides to help us along the way. And as Heather mentioned earlier, you still have horses to feed. You still have things that have to go on in your daily life. And we'll miss Cody forever, but we are thankful for the time that we had with him, and that he died at the happiest time of his life. He had gotten hired when he was 16 to look after cattle for a man that said, I don't want to talk to a teenager. There is no way. But he had lunch with him and he hired him on the spot. And then the day before his 18th birthday, he was hired by one of the owners of the Franklin Ranch, and he lived at headquarters, and he just jumped right into it. And I made him, he moved out. That was his senior year. And I told him he had to run track. That way I would know that he would still make it to school every day. But, he had a lot of responsibility, but being around horses and cattle and dirting up and fixing fence and windmills was something that he loved. And I'm thankful to God that in his short life, he got to do exactly what he loved doing with who he loved. And the resiliency that my family has is because of the gift of life that we have with Cody and God being with us.
It's beautiful. You just taught me a new term, by the way, and I'm going to steal it and I'm going to use it because I like it. You said dirting up. And I can tell you that this old world needs a few more kids that know how to dirten up a little bit. So thanks, Kristie. Thanks so much. I'm glad that everything worked out and our paths they crossed again. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kerri LeDoux's joined us, and Kerri is another one that's got an incredible and beautiful story. Kerri's son, Johnny, was just an outstanding standout FFA member. And I'm going to let Kerri tell you a little bit about Johnny and now how that legacy and the resiliency is playing itself out.
Well, Johnny was the president for the entire area for the FFA, and he did so much good for others. He had such a kind and giving heart. He purchased FFA jackets for some girls that couldn't afford them, and that is something we wanted to carry out and continue his legacy of giving back. You know, at his funeral, there were so many FFA kids. I think there were over 300 that lined a wall up, and it was just important for me to continue that and give back to an organization that he loves so much and an organization that helps others so much. And, you know, resiliency for me has to do with your emotional strength and knowing how to cope or move forward in spite of tragedies or setbacks. And so for me, it's my faith in Jesus that sustained me and helped me to go on. You know, my support group. You know, Aaron, you were one of the first ones that I reached out to and really helped us to be able to carry out Johnny's legacy through the FFA. But as I clung to God's word through my grief, you know, God just began to put the people in my life to help encourage me and cheer me on to the success that the organization's having now. It's an honor to be able to carry out my son's legacy through the FFA organization.
Johnny, for real quick, I cannot brag on Johnny for a second. I always tell people that, you know, philanthropy is the giving of time, talents, and treasure. And at 17 years old, Johnny Callan got it. He was a mentor. He shared his time. He shared his talent, and he bought jackets for kids that couldn't afford them because he knew that the jacket leveled the playing field. But Kerri, you know, a lot of us on this call here had never met. It's through a lot of the tragedies that have brought us all together. And that just shows you exactly, Kerri, what you and Christy, John, and Heather have said, that, you know, God, we was on the call with Tom Ziegler yesterday, and we were talking about fun fellowship in the future. God didn't create us to be the Lone Rangers. None of us is as strong as all of us. And I think that's true physically, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually. And Kerri, you just said that all so well, that your love for your son and his legacy are carrying on, and your ability to be resilient because of networks, faith, and all the things that happen in agriculture every day. So Kerri, thank you for being with us. We're being nice to Kerri because she had surgery yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before?
It was the day before. I had a bone graft in my jaw, so it is very sore and swollen.
Otherwise, those of us that know Kerri, she'd just keep talking. So anyway, we'll keep moving. No, Kerri, thank you so much. Wade Pierce. So we have Wade on the call with us today, and Wade, I've known Wade for years, interestingly enough. And then all of a sudden, Wade begins to have some health issues, and those health issues take him all the way to the East Coast, where they thought for a period of time that they may have a new disease on their hands, something that has never been known before. And because I'm so impressed by the way the Pierce family brands everything, I mean, everything is branded Pierce. I told Wade he's taking this branding thing way too far. He's trying to brand his own disease. But Wade has an incredible story here of, I just love this man's heart, his smile, And as you listen to him talk, you'll understand why he's a great example of resiliency. Wade, tell us a little bit about your story.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. That's I wasn't trying to brand a disease, but I did ask the doctor when he told me we were dealing with something very strange, if I could help name it, and he laughed at me. I even offered to let him put his name first, but no, it was weird. I was doing, life was rolling pretty good. Like everyone's mentioned, you'll have your ups and downs. Everyone does. No two lives are going to be the same. And I always, you can't really play the comparison game. I guess my resiliency has come from something a lot less sudden, more of a over time. In 2016, I was started the year really fit. I was biking. I brag. I had a 6-pack for about a week, and then I lost it. I'll never get it again, probably. Never had it before, but I was in real good shape. And then I started having trouble walking and moving my hands and gripping things, driving. And in end of 2017, after a long process, I was diagnosed with a rare motor neuron disease. Thankfully, it was not ALS. It was a slower moving variant, and called PLS, which never had heard of, and have like basically the endurance of a 70 or 80-year-old. So at 35 now, 32, I guess, diagnosis, it was a little bit shocking to hear. There's no cure, no way to slow it really. I can take some medicine that helps me keep my voice from where I can talk. But what's interesting is, like everyone else has mentioned, I love what Christy said it really well. Without God in your life, or without that inner strength, you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. And it's okay when you're going through things in life, because you will, and that's not being a pessimist. That's just set realistic expectations. And when something does come, I experience a new loss it's not every day, but sometimes it's, oh, now I can't do this. Now my kids have to help me pick up that big gulp glass that I used to drink out of, or things like that. It's a little bit of loss at a time. And so each day I think of the word adaptability, Aaron, and you hear that word. I say, to me, each thing has given me a chance to look at what not I've lost, but what God's given me. And I think John, Heather, Kerri, Christy all mentioned something of the same, as we look at not what we've lost, but what we were blessed with. And we look forward to what's ahead and what we can do. And that's every day. I'm just thinking, okay, you know what? I can still do this. So I'm going to do what I can while I can. And without that strong faith, it can be very hard, because, you can have all kinds of stuff happen around you, happen to other people. You can even have your body where it just starts breaking down. But you're who you are and what you believe, that's the only one that can take that away is you. And so being firm in that, and it's more important to figure out your character rather than your career, is one thing I would tell you. If I figure that out first, before you worry about that, because once you get that nailed down, whether you go into farming, ranching, or you decide to do anything else, that's going to serve you much better for anything that comes in life.
Wow. Okay, well, let me see here. I'm going to put us, whoops. Oh, hang on just a second here. I'm going to take us back to gallery view so we can all see each other.
I love that way to figure out your character before your career.
That was really good.
Yes.
There we go. Texas FFA Ag Science teachers. I mean, this right here is a great example. I don't think there's any question that there was a lot of disappointment in the spring with COVID. I don't think there's going to be some disappointment next week that we're not having the traditional 92nd annual Texas FFA convention. I guess when you listen to all these folks, I guess it's all just a matter of how do we interpret that in our lives. But when I hear the hearts of these folks right here, their hearts just resound with hope. And they have shared that hope with us. And I would tell you that when you share a testimony with somebody, you're sharing a little bit of your life, you're selling a little bit of your soul, you're selling a little bit of your energy. And I would tell y'all that is what's called legacy. That is legacy. And so on behalf of all the Texas FFA members, all of our teachers, all of our sponsors and stakeholders, I would say thank y'all for your willingness to share your testimonies, to share the resiliency in your life. And just like agriculture, Christy, you said it, the future, it doesn't stop. Somebody's got to wake up tomorrow and inspire. Somebody's got to wake up tomorrow and empower. And I tell people all the time, I say, the reason I do what I do is because of my grandson, Liam. Because we're all just one heartbeat or one last exhale away. And maybe it's because of something y'all said today that you will inspire an FFA member that will be my grandson's mentor or his teacher or his doctor. So thank you so much. I appreciate every one of you. If you're ever through 287, look for the friendliest place on 287 outside of Wichita Falls in Henrietta, Texas. That's Pierce. And you'll know it because that's where people wave at you. It's a friendly place. If you get a chance to pick up Texas Monthly, be sure to read The Day the Fires Came. If you know anything about the Live Like Johnny organization, you know what a wonderful job they do. If you don't, go check them out. Live Like Johnny. And by the way, Live Like Johnny, that's a recipe for success for all of us. Live like Johnny. And then lastly, to Heather and John, thank you for your incredible hearts to ensure that all Texans for all time get to know all the people that did the tough job of feeding the world. And that's a pretty noble profession, if you ask me. So thank you all for being here. If you'll hang tight, I'll zoom us out of here and then we can keep talking. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah.
Since 1979, Superior Trophies has been a proud supporter of the Texas FFA and local FFA chapters across the state of Texas. This has been a trying year for all of us here in Texas and across the nation. But I just want to say to all of you, we're proud to be a corporate sponsor. We're proud to be a partner with Texas FFA. We look forward to new and great things in the remainder of 2020, as well as going into 2021. To all you FFA students, keep being resilient, keep being strong. Superior, just like you guys, we're going to survive it. Better days through better ways. Part of the FFA creed. We will get there, and we look forward to seeing you down the road.
Hey, Texas FFA members, be sure to tune in for the 92nd Annual Texas FFA Convention. Strive for greatness. Strive to be great. We know you are. Hey, while you're at convention, be sure to check out the Foundation's virtual scavenger hunt. We're going to be giving away a $1,000 award scholarship every day from the students who get all of the scavenger hunt questions correct. So be sure to take a chance. Go to mytexasffa.org. Good luck.